For untold ages, whispers have traversed the veil between worlds. Carried by prophets and seers, they glimpse the future through visions of unsettling clarity. Today, those visions paint a haunting echo of humanity's unfolding fate. But what if these prophecies, once cryptic, now hold a deeper, more perilous resonance, poised to take a definitive turn as we approach the threshold of 2026? Enter Nostradamus. A 16th century French astrologer, he was more than a mere observer. He was a silent sentinel. Through a profound communion with the celestial spheres, he wove prophecies that still bind our gaze today. From the shadow of royal transitions to the unsettling advancements of artificial intelligence, his words seem eerily attuned to our tumultuous dawn. Have you ever felt that something beyond our world is already moving, preparing the stage? We are about to unravel Nostradamus's most startling prophecies. We will dive deep into their potential meanings, seeking what they truly signify for the soul of our world, for our collective destiny. Among his most compelling and deeply awaited predictions is a profound vision revolving around the future of the Catholic Church. In his seminal 1555 work, Les Prophéties, Nostradamus foresaw a season of unprecedented upheaval, marked by portents of naval conflicts. He wrote of the unsettling instability of thrones and humanitarian crises of a catastrophic scale. What whispers from the sacred text could orchestrate this? As Pope Francis approaches his late 80s, his health has become a growing concern, ailments forcing him to withdraw from critical global moments. Nostradamus, with haunting precision, spoke of the passing of an elderly pontiff, heralding the advent of a new shepherd, a Roman of good age. Yet, this very leadership, his quatrains imply, might unwittingly diminish the Church's once unshakable spiritual influence. Could this be more than just a transition? Could it be a sign of a deeper spiritual erosion? Or perhaps the ominous dawn of an even greater scandal, resonating into 2026? Only the turning of the great cosmic wheel will reveal the truth woven into these predictions. But the sacred dread they stir is undeniably real. The ancient quatrains do not simply speak of an ending, but of a profound and unsettling transition of divine authority. Deep within the Vatican archives, scholars have long debated the exact phrasing of Century 5, Quatrain 56. It speaks of an aging leader who will leave a fractured flock, a shepherd whose final days are clouded by global unrest. In the 16th century, the idea of the Church losing its absolute grip on the souls of Europe was considered pure heresy. Yet, Nostradamus envisioned a time when these sacred halls would echo with the relentless footsteps of doubt and deep division. He prophesied the arrival of the Roman of good age, a young, vigorous successor stepping into a deeply fragmented world. But this youthful energy, the verses explicitly warn, will not bring the expected salvation. Instead, it might accelerate the unraveling. Will this new leader attempt to modernize a 2,000-year-old institution, only to irreparably alienate its most devoted followers? The prophecy hints at a creeping secularism, a silent erosion of faith where ancient tradition is sacrificed simply for the sake of survival. Some modern interpretations point to a hidden scandal, an unseen machination buried deep within the complex holy bureaucracy. Whispers of financial ruin or deep-seated corruption could be the exact catalyst that fulfills this dark 16th century vision. If 2026 is indeed the threshold, the signs are already manifesting in the empty pews and the quiet closing of parish doors worldwide. The Church, once the unshakable bedrock of Western civilization, now finds itself navigating a relentless, dark, secular storm. Nostradamus saw this not merely as a brief organizational crisis, but as a permanent, catastrophic shift in the spiritual axis of humanity. As the shadow of transition looms ever closer to 2026, the faithful are left to wonder, what remains when the highest earthly authority begins to falter? The fading echo of the Vatican bell is suddenly swallowed by a harsh, discordant frequency. The spiritual crisis is merely the first tremor. Another striking prophecy from Nostradamus casts a much longer, darker shadow toward the year 2026, the celestial dawning of the age of Aquarius. While modern astrologers often enthusiastically envision this new epoch as a period of profound transformation, global harmony, and spiritual enlightenment, Nostradamus saw it through a vastly different lens, a veil of deep solemnity, painting the transition with an ominous, almost foreboding tone. In his 16th century visions, he explicitly warned that the initial phases of the age of Aquarius would be marked by immense suffering. He wrote of shadows sweeping across continents, gnawing famine devastating once fertile lands, and the ravaging spread of unknown diseases. He heard the stark thunder of war, signaling not just temporary geopolitical difficulties, but humanity's true trial as we step into this new cosmic era. Look around us today. Recent global crises seem to perfectly mirror these ancient warnings. The lingering specter of devastating pandemics, the inexorable, destructive march of climate change, the sudden, violent economic tremors that wipe out livelihoods in a matter of hours, and the restless stirrings of massive social unrest erupting in the streets of the world's most stable cities. They align with unnerving precision. Are these chaotic events merely random misfortunes? Or is this a deliberate symphony of discord preparing us for the deeper notes of 2026? His quatrains are notoriously cryptic, intentionally imbued with multiple layers of meaning, leaving them open to whispers of various modern interpretations. Yet, as we stand here, watching the news unfold day by day, do we not feel ourselves teetering on the precipice of his envisioned world? A world standing desperately on the threshold of its most profound and perhaps its most destructive revelations in human history. But the stars were only half of the equation. Nostradamus also foresaw a terror born not from the heavens, but from the hands of man. He foresaw a time when a created, superior intelligence might escape human dominion, unleashing a widespread chaos that would echo through the very foundations of existence. In a cryptic quatrain, he described conflicts, the clash of naval titans, the thunder of bombings, and a global uprising of a superior intelligence, one created, chillingly, by humanity itself. Imagine a world where machines, robots, and complex algorithms simply no longer heed human commands. An existential turmoil sweeping across vital industries, paralyzing global economies, and completely blinding governments in a mere matter of seconds. Could this be the true test of humanity's wisdom as 2026 approaches? The complete collapse of the intricate web of our modern power grids. Analysts strongly suggest that Nostradamus's mention of battles at sea might hint at rising, violent tensions between the world's leading global powers. Nations like the United States, China, Russia, and India, all locked in a perilous existential race to dominate this emerging dominion of artificial intelligence. This is no longer merely a technological arms race. It is a profound spiritual gamble for the very future and autonomy of our species. Amidst this technological tempest, Nostradamus, with almost uncanny foresight, also spoke of the return of a highly polarizing disruptor on the world stage. He envisioned a leader who would rise as a fated catalyst amidst intense instability, actively challenging the very bedrock of established societal norms. This strong-willed outsider brings about significant upheaval and transformation, perfectly mirroring the seismic political changes witnessed in recent modern history. His predictions extended beyond mere politics, foreseeing profound economic shifts where the giant, often interpreted as the United States, would face severe internal struggles. What if these unprecedented political and economic tremors are but the groundwork for a much larger, global reckoning guiding us toward 2026? Parallel to this Western fracture, the inexorable rise of a formidable new power in the East is rapidly reshaping international relations and diplomacy. Nostradamus spoke of a red adversary that would invoke deep fear across vast oceans, an expanding tide casting a long, dark shadow over the future. Geopolitical experts now urgently warn of a potential conflict, a fated clash in contested waters that could ensnare alliances and escalate into a full-scale military confrontation. His ancient predictions appear to echo these profound modern concerns, painting a grim picture of rising empires willing to test the very limits of peace. Scholars continue to deeply debate the true meaning of this prophecy, but the connection to current global tensions feels strikingly, almost divinely, significant. But the dire warnings of 2026 are not confined solely to the shifting borders and turbulent, contested oceans of Earth. Looking far beyond our earthly confines, Nostradamus's prophecies also spoke of significant, unprecedented events unfolding in the celestial expanse. One of his most enigmatic visions explicitly mentioned a celestial fire and a sudden, ominous darkening of Mars's light. For centuries, this was interpreted as a mere astrological omen. But today, many interpret this as a literal reference to modern humanity's fervent ambitions. An almost desperate ambition to touch the red planet, led by private aerospace giants and visionary figures pushing us into a new era. Concrete plans to launch crewed missions to Mars as early as the mid-2020s reflect much more than just scientific exploration or curiosity. It is the ultimate, incredibly dangerous attempt to establish a permanent human settlement, a modern ark designed to preserve our fragile species. Can you imagine a near future where space travel becomes as routine as a breath? A frantic, multi-billion-dollar exodus from a decaying world? As science fiction edges ever closer to a tangible, awe-inspiring reality, humanity seems poised on the brink of becoming a multi-planetary civilization. But this thought-provoking shift raises profound, almost spiritual questions about our true motives as we stare out into the void. Are we seeking to boldly rewrite our history among the stars, carrying the divine spark of exploration into the unknown? Or are we simply running away in terror, fleeing the apocalyptic prophecies we have already set in motion here on Earth? Nostradamus' predictions regarding natural disasters paint an overwhelmingly foreboding picture of our immediate future, suggesting that cataclysmic events may be on the horizon, perhaps unleashing a relentless deluge of physical and divine warnings upon humanity by the critical, looming threshold of 2026. Among these terrifying prophecies is the ominous vision of a celestial fire, heavily interpreted by modern scholars as a massive asteroid colliding with Earth. This sudden impact is prophesied to trigger massive, unparalleled earthquakes and towering tsunamis, causing widespread, inescapable devastation across continents. A violent, terrifying tremor sent from the heavens themselves, physically shaking the very foundations of human civilization and our modern arrogance. Beyond the stars, he also foresaw an unprecedented intensification of climate extremes that could reach a highly destructive, chilling peak around 2026. His texts explicitly warn of violent atmospheric storms, extreme global temperature shifts, and the fiery, suffocating breath of volcanic eruptions in places like Iceland. He described a suffocating, unnatural thick fog and sudden, bitter cold waves violently striking regions completely unequipped and unprepared for freezing temperatures. In one deeply eerie and specific verse, Nostradamus wrote, "The dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen." He predicted an unforgiving chain of escalating events, catastrophic tsunamis and sudden, violent flooding that would permanently engulf densely populated coastal territories. These dark forecasts eerily align with the erratic and highly destructive climate patterns we are already witnessing and documenting on the daily news. This extreme water displacement and drought would subsequently devastate essential agricultural lands, destroying the vital crops needed to sustain a rapidly growing global population. He also distinctly hinted at a powerful, localized earthquake that would unexpectedly claim thousands of lives in a matter of terrifying seconds. In light of recent, devastating seismic events in regions like Morocco, This ancient warning serves as a terrifying pulse of the Earth's growing unease. It feels as if these disasters are undeniable harbingers, ancient warnings manifesting in our present reality. Do you hear the Earth's groaning, calling us to listen? Both Nostradamus and the Bible predict a devastating wave of pestilence that could suddenly ravage the Earth in the coming years, resulting in severe food shortages, mass starvation, and widespread human suffering. A chilling, modern echo of harsh, ancient realities. For the people of ancient Israel, such periods of extreme scarcity and agricultural collapse were a harsh, unforgiving truth. Their very existence and survival relied heavily on brief, unpredictable seasonal rains to nourish a largely barren, unforgiving land. Any slight deviation in this rainfall could immediately bring the looming, deadly threat of famine, a direct consequence of perceived divine displeasure. In the ancient world, crippling drought and mass hunger weren't viewed merely as unfortunate, random meteorological occurrences. Rather, they were deeply understood as profound reflections of divine will, or a sacred, terrifying test of a nation's collective faith. The book of Deuteronomy speaks of a solemn promise. If disobedient, the heavens above their head would become copper, and the earth under them iron. In the ancient texts of Samuel, we read of a brutal 3-year famine in Israel, attributed directly to the bloody actions of King Saul. This serves as a stark historical reminder of humanity's moral choices and their cosmic, devastating repercussions upon the natural world. Nostradamus's prophecies present unsettling images of the future, drawing chilling comparisons to biblical eschatology, particularly passages such as Mark chapter 13. It warns, "When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come." Christ speaks of enormous earthquakes in various places and widespread famines, devastating events described not as the ultimate collapse of the world, but rather as the beginning of birth pains, an excruciating but necessary transition required to deliver a completely new spiritual reality. Nostradamus's dark verses seem to echo this profound idea, suggesting these accelerating disasters signal the agonizing approach of a final, transformative epoch. Beyond natural disasters, Nostradamus envisioned another profound upheaval, a spiritual fire, a wave of social revolutions destined to engulf the world. His writings describe a fire that will ignite in the heart of major cities, a metaphor many interpret as a warning of intense social unrest. Fueled by the ever-widening chasm of inequality and a deep-seated, growing dissatisfaction with existing, failing global systems. These prophecies now feel remarkably relevant as societal tensions over race, gender, and class reach critical, almost explosive points. Nostradamus's words seem to predict a tipping point where growing dissatisfaction erupts into a massive rebellion of the human spirit. In recent years, we've witnessed waves of protests across the globe, where people rise up against corruption, oppression, and injustice. Some believe Nostradamus's vision points to such unrest escalating, forever altering the societal landscape into 2026. Others interpret this prophecy through the lens of technological influence, a new power that will challenge all traditional systems. Nostradamus's new power may refer to a digital revolution that fundamentally shifts global power dynamics forever, empowering marginalized voices and enabling massive demonstrations in ways once unimaginable, a true rebalancing of the human equation. What if this unseen power is already at work, reshaping our collective destiny while we focus only on the surface crises? Critics argue that Nostradamus's language is deliberately vague, making it easy to apply his words to any myriad of social events. Nevertheless, as we face a world marked by pervasive upheaval, his writings offer a thought-provoking, almost haunting perspective. Whether his prophecies unfold exactly as described remains to be seen, but their presence highlights humanity's ongoing spiritual struggle, serving as potent reminders of the changes and trials that continue to shape our collective, unfolding future. especially as we gaze toward 2026. Nostradamus's cryptic prophecies have once again seized the public's attention, particularly a prediction signaling a profound shift in sacred succession. According to experts, a specific verse seems to hint at the potential end of King Charles III's reign, a major turning point in the royal lineage. The prophecy allegedly refers to a King of the Isles being ousted by force and replaced by someone who will bear no mark of a king. Reports of the king's health struggles only months after his coronation have fueled intense speculation that his time as monarch could be cut short. Some propose that Charles may not reign for long due to perceptions of unworthiness or health, a challenge to his very spiritual legitimacy. Should King Charles step down, the most likely successor is Prince William, known for his stability and commitment, a beacon of royal tradition. However, the enigmatic line, replaced by one who will have no mark of a king, has sparked a deeper, much more controversial curiosity. His unconventional journey and strained relationships have created a wild card in the unfolding royal drama of 2026. Some theorize it symbolizes a profound shift caused by unforeseen events or a major crisis that shatters the very foundations of the monarchy. Others believe it may signal the gradual decline of the monarchy as a relevant institution, a relic of a bygone era giving way to something new. The suggestion that a ruler with no mark of a king could rise has even prompted speculation about a fundamental shift toward a republic. Critics argue his words are far too vague, yet phrases like King of the Isles feel strikingly specific in today's context. Whether a literal prediction or a broader commentary on the changing dynamics of monarchy, it continues to provoke profound, unsettling debate. For the shadows of 2026 are not only falling on palaces, but are lengthening across the entire globe as the ultimate conflict approaches. Nostradamus's predictions of global conflict suggest the terrifying possibility of another catastrophic war, a fated confrontation drawing near by 2026. Some interpret these prophecies as a signal that humanity is approaching its final, pivotal days, roughly 79 years after the end of World War II. The Bible offers additional insight, with the Apostle Paul warning that in later times, some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits. Paul's warning aligns with the depiction of the end times as perilous, filled with an increasing opposition to truth and moral decay. Christ himself predicted that wars would mark the period preceding his return, stating, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." Revelation chapter 6 reinforces this imagery, with a symbolic horseman representing warfare, destined to remove peace from the earth. Could these final throes of conflict, these agonizing birth pains, be drawing us closer to the cosmic reckoning of 2026? Nostradamus's prophecies also include dark warnings regarding climate-related crises, resonating with intensity as we gaze toward the threshold. According to his predictions, extreme weather events, severe heat waves, and relentless droughts will become more frequent and destructive. While Scripture does not address modern climate change, it predicts a time when the earth will face destruction by fire, a spiritual cleansing. In Christian theology, this ultimate destruction is often followed by God's promise of a new creation, new heavens and a new earth. This promise raises profound moral questions. If the earth is to be replaced, how much effort should be dedicated to preserving this fleeting home? Nostradamus's vision invites a sacred reflection on our current crises, highlighting the age-old tension between responsibility and divine restoration. As we stand on the cusp of 2026, the question remains, are we spiritually ready for the profound shift these ancient signs portend? The future is a delicate balance, a choice between despair and divine duty, as the clock ticks towards the unknown revelations of 2026.